Something's creeping, it's right outside. So come on in, and don't be shy. We've got ghosts and UFOs. Brace yourself, get ready for the show. Don't be afraid of the dark. The fun's about to start. Nightmares or tales will inspire. Oh, tonight at the Scaredy Campfire. Have you heard tell of a demon next door? Or maybe a cryptid on the lake shore? There's nothing too strange for us here. So if you're ready, stamp out your fear. Don't be afraid of the dark. The fun's about to start. Nightmares or tales will inspire. Tonight at the Scaredy Campfire. Whoa, whoa.
Welcome back, campers, to episode 17 of the Scaredy Campfires. Tonight's tales stare from the quiet corners where the line between memory and presence begins to blur. Listen closely, because the closer you look, the stranger the world becomes. Some houses don't just creak at night, they push back. For Reddit user u/moth_hams69, moving with her soon-to-be husband meant stepping into a home that already had a history and a presence waiting for her. What began as knocks and whispers quickly spiraled into nights of paralysis, shadowy figures, and something far darker pressing down on her as she slept. This wasn't just a haunting. It was a fight for control. I currently live in a haunted house. When I first moved in, it was a rarely active, with a particularly dark negative spirit that personally disliked me. My now husband lived in this house for 3 years before we got together and never had many issues until I moved in. He said he'd hear the occasional footsteps, knocking on the walls, and feeling like someone was touching him every now and then, but nothing serious. I moved in 2 weeks before we were supposed to get married, and those 2 weeks I was harassed and terrorized every day and night. I never had any personal paranormal experiences before this, so I was a bit skeptic. I thought I was losing my mind at first. It started small the first night with footsteps and knocking in the walls. Then by the night, it had ramped up to a 10. I couldn't sleep because shadows started all over the room. The knocking was repetitive. I would hear footsteps walk up to the bedroom door, then walk back to the hallway. It was freaking me out so bad I lost sleep. During the day, I would hear a woman whispering. My side would get poked, pictures would get knocked off the walls, and I would see a shadow move down the halls in a pacing motion. I could tolerate the crazy during the day, but the nights were horrible. It was never ending. I wasn't entirely convinced even then it was a ghost, honestly. I was completely alone when these things would happen, and it never happened when my husband was home, so it made me feel like I was crazy. My husband is an EMT, so he would be gone for days at a time, be home for a day, then gone for days. So I was alone the majority of the time, but even he could attest to some of these events because, as previously stated, he has experienced the small stuff. My esthetician is a paranormal investigator for fun, and when I told her some of the stuff that was happening, she let me borrow her spirit box. So me and my now husband sat down in our bedroom and explained what the device does. We felt crazy because we were explaining a spirit box to the air seemingly, but I guess it paid off because it started working. We asked questions. Why are you here? No answer. What do you want? Leave. Why do you want us to leave? No answer. Who do you want to leave? Bride. My blood ran cold. I told my husband I was freaked out and didn't want to do it anymore, and the box said, "Get out," twice before we turned it off. After things got even worse, and I didn't think it could get worse, I was on the floor folding laundry and looked up just in time to see something flying at my face. I ducked just in time and heard something smash against the wall. I started screaming and I heard my husband run through the hall and into the living room where I was sitting. He was nowhere close to my location when this happened. I was sitting in front of the couch, so we pulled it out from the wall and a screwdriver was laying in the floor behind it. A damn screwdriver. It threw a screwdriver right at my head. We knew where it came from because we were assembling a shelf in the living room across from where I was sitting, so it was laying on the shelf. I wanted to leave desperately because I was terrified, but he insisted that it would be fine. It doesn't do anything if he's with me, so he said he wouldn't leave my side the rest of the day. And when he goes to work in the morning, I can go to my mum's until we figure out how to get rid of it. So against my better judgment, I didn't leave. Last time I listened to a man over my intuition, lol. So now it's night again. I haven't slept a second because the footsteps haven't stopped for hours. I was laying on my side in the bed watching the TV that was positioned in front of on my side of the bed. I was doing anything I could to calm my nerves and drown out the noise. I tried to reach out for my water on the nightstand, but my body was completely frozen. I started panicking, but I couldn't speak or move anything but my eyes. Then I felt the foot of the bed dip. It felt like someone was crawling onto the end of the bed. Then I felt two hands grab my legs, then climb up the rest of my body. It felt the weight of a person sitting on top of me completely still. All I could hear was the TV show playing in the background and my husband's light snoring beside me. I moved my eyes to look at what was sitting in my way and saw a woman staring back at me. A transparent black thing with the body and face of a woman staring at me with a blank expression. Her hair was long, straight, and dark, yet had white eyes with a visible iris and pupils. My body was so cold it felt numb, but I can still remember the feeling of her hands pushing against my side and hips, sitting on my legs. She stared at me for only a few moments before she lunged forward and grabbed me by my neck. She moved so fast I didn't see her until her face was right in front of mine. Her expression changed from blank to infuriated. She never said a word, but I could feel her rage pouring over me. You would think at this point I would be panicking, crying, or fighting the paralysis, but I was calm. I remember thinking I was going to die, but I wasn't scared. As I was staring at her angry face, I saw her look to the side and I noticed multiple black shadows had circled us. From my point of view, I couldn't see much from beyond my side of the bed, but it looked like a group of black shadows had formed a line wrapping around the bed, standing still. And as quickly as they came, they vanished, and she disappeared with them. The second they were gone, I felt the weight leave my body, and I could move again. I believe I was in shock or traumatized from what had happened because I didn't jump up and run or shake my husband awake. I just laid in that spot and stared at the TV for a moment before I rolled over and clung to my husband. I still can't believe I fell asleep after everything that happened. When I woke up that morning, my husband was running late for work, but I told him everything that happened to me that night. We both agreed that I should stay with my parents until we found a way to get her out of the house, because things were escalating out of our control. So I packed a bag, grabbed my essentials, and my husband walked outside to start up his Jeep and my car for work. I was still reeling from what happened and thinking about how she attacked me last night. I got pissed. I knew I wasn't coming back for a while, so I decided to give her a piece of my mind. I know, stupid, but if you went through what I have, you'd want to cuss out the bitch too. So I looked around my living room and yelled at her that I wasn't scared of her, Samara looking wannabe ass, and that I was gonna drag her out of this house whether she liked it or not. I really was letting her have it. Then, mid-sentence, as I was reaming her, I heard loud crashes come from the hallway. I turned on my heels, grabbed my stuff, and ran out the door. I didn't want to come back for over a month. We tried multiple methods to get rid of her, had a priest bless the house. Neither of us are religious. None of it worked. It wasn't until my sister-in-law from another state found out what was going on and drove in to help. She's registered to a native tribe and did a cleansing, banishing ritual and burned a ton of sage. I don't know, like I said, I'm not religious. After that, she was gone, so whatever she did worked. She gifted us some sage, so I keep up the energy maintenance in the house now. My house is still haunted though, but the ghosts that are still here are friendly, so I told my sister-in-law that they can stay as long as they behave. Even now, the user's house still carries echoes of what once stalked its halls. The dark presence may be gone, but the memory of its hands, its eyes, and the circle of shadows remains burned into her nights. Was it truly banished, or simply waiting for another moment of weakness to return? In houses like these, you never really know when the silence will break again. Some encounters feel holy, others feel wrong, even when they look like light. For Reddit user u/mediocre ad 4016, a childhood visit to a small, secluded town in Mexico turned into a night of whispers, wings, and a smile that didn't belong on any angel. What pressed itself against that blue church-like window that night wasn't just unforgettable. It defied every idea of what's meant to protect us. Not too long of a story, but it was a weird thing that happened to me. I'm of Mexican descent and would always visit my family down there in December. They lived in a small town in Mexico in the middle of nowhere. To give more context, the whole family would go down for a couple of weeks. We would mainly stay at my grandma's house, but this night choose to stay with my aunt and cousins. They had a small house deep in the town, so it was secluded. Well, it was around 11 p.m. when we decided to go to bed, and we went to sleep in my cousin's room. They had a big bed so we could all share. We were young, so we could all fit on the bed. One thing that I thought was weird was that every window in the house was like a regular window, but not in their room. They had a big blue window. You couldn't open it or anything. If I were to describe it, it was like a church kind of window, if that makes sense. Anyways, we decided to go to bed. It had maybe been a couple of hours. I woke up around 2 a.m. I felt a weird sensation, like being watched. I looked around and nothing, so I decided to use the bathroom. So when I'm finishing up using the bathroom, I hear a shh, kind of like being called over, and of course I freak out quickly, wash my hands, and try to wake up my cousins, but they were in a deep sleep. So I just decided to go back to bed, freaked out. About 30 minutes passed, and dozed back off to sleep. I remember this next part so vividly. I wake up at exactly 6 a.m. I remember I turned to look at the clock and I heard the shh again. I turned over to see where it was coming from, and to my surprise, it was coming from the big blue window. When I look, I see this person-shaped silhouette pressed up against the window. All of a sudden, two big wings come out from its back, and I thought to myself, what is going on? And I knew I wasn't having sleep paralysis because I was able to move with no issues, but I was frozen with fear or in awe at what I was seeing. So he spreads its wings, and in my head, I'm like, this is an angel? Or so I thought. Then the most disturbing thing happened. He smiled for about 3 seconds, like a regular smile. Then it starts to distort into a really big and long smile from one ear to ear, eyes wide open. Then it just started waving as if saying goodbye, and I fell back to sleep instantly. I woke up exactly 1 hour later at 7 a.m. When my aunt and cousins woke up, I told them about what happened. My aunt just shrugged it off and said it was my guardian angel, but a guardian angel wouldn't smile like that, would it? To this day, u/mediocre ad 4016 still wonders what truly stared back through that blue window. Guardian, trickster, or something else entirely. The wings may have looked divine, but the smile told another story. In the dark hours before dawn, not everything with wings comes to save you. That closes episode 17, campers. Some things slip away when daylight comes. Others linger, waiting for us in the dark. Until next time, tread lightly because some parts are not meant to be walked twice.
As the night gets longer and the darkness creeps in, with the eerie silence broken only by whispering wind, come gather round the fire, the flickering flames, and hear the tales of the spooky and the strange. A chill up your back, a shiver up your spine. You'll be haunted by the things that you find. Legends will unfold and stories will be told at the Scaredy Campfire, for only the bold